Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Bearded Bible Thinker podcast. I'm the Bearded Bible Thinker, Rob. I'm your host, and today I'm jumping back into my bookmarks in X, trying to whittle down the list of these things that I've been meaning to get to and just haven't. It's been a busy season, and so I'm trying to scoot a bunch of these things out while I have a few minutes. And today I'm going to be dealing with one of these about it's a post on X from Lee Strobel, and it's actually from back in June. That is how long I've been meaning to get to these. A post from Lee Strobel from back in June is what we're looking at today, and I think this is this should be an uplifting one, okay? Sometimes when I do these, I bookmark them because I think this is so stupid, I need to talk about it. And it turns out to sort of be a rant or a venting session a little bit, but sometimes I run into these and I'm like, that's it, that's what we've got, that's what we need, and so then it turns into an actually like an uplifting one of these, and so that I think is what this one is going to be. I'm going to flip on over to the screen that we need to be on here. I know it's small for you, but I'll read it. Lee Strobel posted, want to chat about Jesus? I'm at gate 33 of Terminal C at the Bush Airport in Houston. Stop by and I'll buy the coffee. Spiritual skeptics especially welcome. And I read this at first and I thought, that's actually pretty cool. Not really sure how, one of the first things that came to my mind though is like, that's really, really cool. I wonder if anyone's ever even seen this and done, and I actually scrolled through the comments for a second, which is always a super dangerous thing to do because that's usually a cesspool of idiocy. But right here, like the second comment down, somebody said, I'd be curious to know how many people actually get your message and have the time at the airport to stop by and talk with you. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but it just seems like everything has to fall into place just right for someone to stop by, which is kind of like where my mind went when I saw his post and read it. And I'm like, that's awesome. But like how often, but he actually, Lee Strobel replied to him and said, actually, I've had quite a few encounters over the years that have been, that I've been doing this. Once sent out a tweet like this, and within 20 seconds, someone tapped me on the shoulder. So, that's just pretty cool. That is a use of one of Jonathan Edwards' big things was redeeming the time. He talked about it. It was one of his resolutions, and redeeming the time, ensuring that you're not wasting time. You only have so many seconds in your life. You only have so many minutes and days and years that you're going to live, and so making sure that kind of thing isn't wasted. Lee Strobel, for instance, and I'm not saying everyone has to do this when they go through the airport or you're not a real Christian or something like that, because sometimes redeeming the time is resting, right? And that doesn't feel very productive for the kingdom, right? But this is an instance in which he had some time. He wasn't toast or whatever. He wasn't about to pass out from being tired or whatever, and he just had time to kill, and so he could watch his favorite downloaded episode of some show that he likes. He could mindlessly scroll through social media, or he could mindlessly scroll through social media and put that out there as he's scrolling through it, just in case God has a different idea for his couple-hour layover. And so I just thought that's a pretty cool way that he thought about using his time, that he wanted to open himself up to be of use to the Lord in that way. I think that's really, really good and helpful. And we should all, I think, attempt to think about these kinds of opportunities. I don't know what your life is like, but you have to have opportunities like this to make yourself available to be of use to the Lord, in conversation. A quote that is accredited at least to Saint Francis of Assisi, and maybe there's some debate on whether it was actually that was actually the person that quoted it or not. But the quote is, preach the gospel always, and when necessary, use words. Which, again, I think I've even said this on one of these podcasts before, but I hate that quote. I hate it so much. I hate it with a passion, because it's almost like I understand what they were getting at, and it's not like a total sin fest because you said this or that sort of thing, but it is like you are supposed to be Christ-like in your actions and in your character and in the way that you respond to people and in your conversations and all of those things, and in your work ethic. Like, you are supposed to be Christ-like, but unless you proclaim the gospel message with your mouth, no one has heard the gospel through your life. No one's heard the gospel through your life. In fact, there's a story that Jeff Vanderstelt tells, and I'm going to butcher it. It's been a long time since I've heard the story, but the gist of it is that there's a Christian guy in an office setting, and he has worked there for a while, and he's got things going for him. He is a Christian at work. He does the right things. He has integrity. He has good work ethic. He gets promoted because of his work ethic and because he's good at what he does and he cares about his work and all the things, right? Good worker, good guy. And there's another person who finds out that this guy's a Christian, and says something to him about it. And he's like, I didn't know that you were a Christian. And he was like, yeah, I'm a Christian. And the moral of the story is this other guy had been trying to mimic him, trying to do the things that he was doing, trying to be the person that he was, but never even knew that the guy was a Christian because he preached the gospel always and never saw it necessary to use words. And so this guy over here, guy 2, is left holding the bag, trying to accomplish all of the same things and be the same person with the same character as guy 1, but without Christ. Like, it's impossible. How frustrating would that be, right? Like that, it is necessary to use words. And so it's just cool to see this post from Lee Strobel. It makes me think about like what times in my life, how often am I in a situation in which I could legitimately have an encounter with someone and a conversation with someone about Christ, about life, about issues, about how can I pray for you kinds of things. And how often have I taken those opportunities to just go, you know what? People, I'm going to close the blinds, and look, again, like it's a conscience issue, right? Like you have to determine, like, sometimes you're tired. Sometimes it's legitimate that you need to close the blinds and get rest, and just believe in the sovereignty of God when it comes to, if there's a person walking down the street outside, God's got it under control and you need to rest. Like that, there are times for that. There are times when you need to be in a bit of a vegetative state because you've been too busy. But I think it will be helpful. It is a helpful thing to think about, and to maybe analyze your life or your week or your rhythm in scheduling and stuff like that. It is a helpful exercise to think about when am I possibly in a situation in which I could send that tweet out or send that post out, that proverbial post, and make myself available to be engaged with, to engage in conversation that might lead to gospel proclamation in the lives of others. I think that's a really important thing for us to think about and analyze and look for in our own lives. And and then have the courage to engage. You know what? It's not about your eloquence. It's not about how good you are at talking to people. It's not about how awesome you are at gospel presentations. God does the heavy lifting in those conversations, and so we should not be ashamed of the gospel, and we should not let laziness or apathy get in the way of gospel proclamation and evangelism in those moments that just are made for it, And I think that it's admirable. Lee Strobel, I don't know a ton about him. I know the few books that he wrote that kind of went crazy. But it's admirable. It's an admirable quality for us to redeem the time, because you only have so much of it, and we'll have to account for it. So that seems fairly important to me. I don't know if it seems important to you. Anyway, this has been a super short one. And you know what? At the beginning of it, I didn't even say this is going to be a short one. Maybe if I would have said that, it would have been much, much longer or maybe I'm redeeming the time. Anyway, until next time, grow a beard.